A ballerina's perspective, from performing with New York City Ballet and Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater to publishing poetry books and mentoring kids and teens. Join us in a weekly discussion with experts to gain mental health clarity and achieve growth and moral consciousness. Give our show a 5 stars, comment, share, and come along for the ride. Welcome to the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast. Today, we will talk about financial responsibility, debt, and managing a budget with Ann Pells, the founder of Alife Giver Legacy. It has helped thousands of people pay off their houses in 5 to 7 years and own businesses that bring in at least 10K a month with just 1 hour a week. She's passionate about delivering people's dreams to them with just 2 phone calls so that within 90 days, their lives reflect more money and more time for more magic and memories. So that is a beautiful reflection of responsibility of finances. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Ari. Great.
Yes, it's a great topic, and I feel like a lot of our listeners are recent college grads or in college or looking to go to college, and that's such a big financial risk in a way because sometimes they have to pay for their own finances. If you're ready to shake off that daily stress, come join us for online beginner adult ballet and yoga classes each week to connect with the flow of movement and the art of ballet into perfect synergy. Come as you are and learn to love your body a little bit more and gain strength and flexibility with each class. All are welcome. Sign up at balletartsmovement@gmail.com. First class free. And after college, there's usually debt, especially if they're not really sure how their finances are organized. So, what advice would you have for people who are in that phase and maybe they're just finishing college and they do have debt built up from a few years?
My husband and I were there. That's kind of what started our whole journey because a couple of years out of college, we had 3 little ones. I'm standing in my kitchen and he got a pink slip, which meant we didn't have a job anymore, and that was our main source of income. Um, so if some of your listeners ever find themselves in that situation, they'll understand, or if they've seen families that all of a sudden have whew, we were going this way and now we need to make a new plan. Um, so I think my advice is find people who know how to have several different ways to make income happen for themselves in case your plan of what happened while you were in college and what you were studying changed, that jobs weren't available or that something else changed in your financial journey. um, they call it, another term I've heard people say is multiple streams of income. And we spent, after that happened, it caught us off guard. I totally was like, we're just going to go to school, get a job, do the thing, and hopefully retire at some point, you know. Uh, and we started being way more intentional about it. Like we found our why. It was hard to have all of the money gone and still have a water bill, light bill, food, things, and the 3 little ones depending on us. And so um, that's why I love those 2 phone calls now, because it doesn't take you 20 years to follow my path. You can just go straight to finding multiple ways to earn money, even when you're not working at a job to earn it. Like there's tons of different ways to have that wonderful job that you've been working toward by getting the college education and doing those things, but then also having several other different options just in case. I mean, what if one of our sons was going to be a psychologist, and then he started taking the classes and decided didn't like those, and so the career plans changed. And I've seen that happen quite a bit with kids that are 20 years behind me where we were 20 years ago, you know.
TeloVital supports focus, energy, immunity, sleep, recovery, and resilience. Start feeling better today on a cellular level with zeolite, super green juice, micronutrient gut support, and more. Get over 50% off your first order for TeloVital. Link in the description of the podcast.
So I think that's my
Yes.
main advice, is just find several things that you enjoy doing or could learn about from people who are doing it, just in case. So
Yes, totally. That is so great. And it's also great if people have hobbies, they should also try that as well as a side hustle,
mhm,
because a lot of
yeah,
creativity and talents that's also kind of needed in today's day and age. People are craving
for
that
sure.
connection with creativity.
And I guess I have one other thought. When I was 15, as far as mindset, how you were mentioning that that's important, and how we're thinking and mentally and emotionally. When I was 15, my grandpa sat me down on the couch. I'm looking at him and he's like, "Ann, can't is not in my dictionary." I'm like, "What? It is. It's right between B and D. It's C. Can't right here." And he said, "No, I mean, instead of telling myself I can't do something, I would I'm trying to teach you to say, how can I do something? How can I figure that out? Maybe I want to learn about something I'm interested in, or I want to ask someone who already is doing a lot of real estate or other investments and side things that they're doing. How do I find out what they're doing and duplicate the things that I like that are going to work for me?"
ClickFunnels easily build any type of online business and sales funnel in record time, no matter what your product, service, or niche, without any tech design or experience whatsoever. Try the ClickFunnels 14-day free trial, link in the description of the podcast.
Right. And that I kind of was just looking at him at 15, and it took me a while to figure that out. I'm like, what are you trying to say? But that's my other piece about mindset, is just let's let's not tell ourselves we can't do it, or we're not good enough, or it's never going to work, or all the things that sometimes get stuck up here and make us stuck. Let's ask really good questions and find someone who's done what we want to do, and then follow their path. How did they do it? What did they do, or who did they find? I love partners and teams, people that know more than I do. It doesn't threaten me at all. I love it. I'm like, oh, they know how to do something. I need to figure out what they did and follow what they what they're doing, so that I can have the same results, you know.
So beautiful how you mentioned as a child, and I was just recently watching the show Father Knows Best, and one episode
Oh,
was about him teaching his children about like the value of money and finances, and I thought, wow, how interesting. He was sitting them down and talking about the value of money through allowance, through budgeting, having savings
yeah,
goals. And I feel like that simple beginning for kids with earning, saving, spending, having that balance and awareness, it's such a gift, because I feel like in school we don't really learn that much unless we go
yeah.
into like economics class, and that's like at the end of high school oftentimes.
You're right. I learned how to balance a checkbook, and now we don't even use checks. You know, and that's all I knew at high school. So, and I'm not sure that you're right, that we don't have a longer, like, I'm going to figure out how to save 10% of whatever I earn toward, and sometimes you have to start smaller than that. Okay, I'm just going to save all the spare coffee money or all the spare whatever change, and it will start adding up, and then it gives you some momentum to get started in a good direction.
Podpitch is the first and only software that finds, writes, and sends pitches to podcast hosts from your actual email address. Podpitch will make sure you get podcast bookings, guaranteed. Link in the description of the podcast.
When you're first starting out, at least we were right out of college, and why that was so hard to get that pink slip, because we really hadn't had a lot of time, like you said, to, like, there wasn't a lot of savings and a lot of other things already going on when he lost his job. And so, uh, yeah, I totally feel for where that is sometimes.
When it comes to financial freedom for people craving that journey, what is your definition of it?
After that 20 years of figuring out how to survive in case we ever got another pink slip. Financial freedom means to me that I have all the money that I want. I can do whatever I want with whoever I want whenever I want. Like my time is my own and my money's my own, and I we get to have options and choices that sometimes feel really out of reach for people when they're just getting started. And I think that's why I would emphasize, if you don't have what you need, find a partner, a family member, a friend, someone who also is interested in this, and figure out how to partner up with them, or find teams that already know how to do what you're wanting.
Sanger Daniels' online seminar promoting a positive message of self-healing with bioenergy work together with live seminars and remote coaching. Use code BIO20 for a 20% discount for our audience. Link in the description of the podcast.
If you want to learn how to manage real estate investments, find someone who's doing it and ask them. We have been really blessed to find, finally, after all of that looking, I like to shorten your 20-year journey that I had down to those 2 phone calls. And one of them just really opened up the whole process of buying a home, which many kids out of college don't ever feel like that's even in reach for them. But I'm just going to repeat Grandpa's advice and just say, ask how can I, and start. And one of our teams helped us to pay our house off in 5 years. Within 2 years, we paid down $200,000, and I'd never had that happen before. But it opened up everything else for us as well. And I can, definitely recommend connecting with that team. And that's, you can find out more at lifegiverlegacy.com if they're interested, or even just any way to own a home where you live in one side of it and someone else lives in the other side of it, and they help make that payment for you. There's lots of ways to start with home ownership and then create from there your path to financial freedom, where you have all the money and time you want in the world, and you get to choose what you're doing. That's what
That,
financial freedom means to me. You get to make
that's amazing.
memories, you get to have a lot of fun, and money's not the first thing that you're thinking about. Like, how do I get time off work? How do I pay for this thing? And, you know, so
Yeah, it's also like in the spiritual community, a lot of people are talking about money as an energy source, and there are so many different kind of definitions of money, and people are kind of learning how they value money because oftentimes in ancestral
yeah,
realities it was about lack and survival, and in order to kind of like shift the energy and realign to a more holistic approach to appreciate money in a way that feels less fearful and more accepting and more part of your abundance mindset and growth mindset, it's
mm-hmm.
super important because then you readjusting your perspective to your own
Yeah,
identity in a way, because oftentimes money is like a source of identity for people. It gives them that
true.
confidence, that purpose, that drive. And
Yeah.
it's a really deep journey that people are going through when they're healing those wounds. I even created a course on money, a 10-day course for empaths who want to reconnect to money on a more spiritual level, because we
Wow.
have to also, I think, change how we view money and not be afraid of it and not be
Yeah.
angry about it, but to kind of like accept it as part of the soul and the destiny towards achieving something great. And that's not from a greedy perspective, it's from a giving perspective. If we're able to share the money with
Yeah.
humanity, provide to humanity. So
Yes.
it's like there's so many perspectives to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. One of my mindset coaches, this reminds me, and I'll just share a little brief story if you don't mind. My
Yes.
3 years ago, I realized that I had a lot of mindset up here about, oh, money's hard, it's going to be terrible, it's awful, and the more of the hate and anger and frustration and all of that. And I realized that was getting in my way when I attended an event, and he said, what are your thoughts and feelings surrounding money? Is it hard? Is it, awful? And oh, everyone who wants money is just greedy and awful. And I realized that some of that was that I didn't even, it was a blind spot to me. I hadn't even realized it was going on spiritually and in my head and heart. And we made some major strides there, like you said, just becoming more aware of what I was telling myself about money, until I'm in a place now of abundance, but also really generosity, very quietly. No one needs to know about it. But, for example, $20, the cost of pizza here, is enough to help educate a child and free them from human slavery. And $1,000 is a heart surgery in some parts of the world. It saves a life.
Wow.
It's a house payment here, but it's life saving. So I kind of went on a little journey in the last few years myself to be like, oh, if I have more than what our family needs to pay the water bill and all those bills that we had when we got that job layoff, and we have more, then we have more to share and impact people in a very meaningful way, even with just a little bit of time or money here and there. And sometimes it's not about money. It might just be that you showed up when they needed somebody, and smiled and gave them a hug, and they were in the middle of a mess financially or emotionally or whatever. And because you didn't have to worry about, I got to go do the job and I've got to earn money and do all the things, you were more available in your time to be able to help with whatever was going on for them, and so I totally relate, even just in this last few years of my own, like, how do we think about money, and what is it that we're thinking about it? More like, I guess my grandpa was trying to tell me, how can I have a more abundant, instead of saying, oh, I can't have it, I can't have it, it's bad, and all the things that sometimes we get trapped in about finances, about dollars. So
That's so beautiful. Yes, it's so true. It's like when we have that like conscious awareness of our generosity, we're able to help people. And like you said, it's true. It's not always about money. Sometimes it is, but sometimes people need, like children need attention, appreciation, and sometimes people just need to be taught like and like something that they're going to be able to do a task. So sometimes it helps, you can help people to be more sovereign. That's the greatest gift of all, some people would say. It's like there are so many different levels of humans' abilities to help people. And I think when we start doing that, that's when we're going to feel more adjusted to the holistic connection to money. And that's the
yeah,
true value of giving.
yeah, I agree, you're right.
And when it comes to financial responsibility, what are some tips you can give to people who are like just starting to, maybe people, even college students or adults, when they have been fiscally not very responsible and now they kind of want to go back on track? What are some tips for them?
When we first, one of the first things we started reading after that pink slip and the job loss, was a book called The Millionaire Next Door. It's very, like, make a tiny adjustment in your lifestyle, something that you could give up or not do, that would create great momentum. Like by the end of the year, $20 here and there creates your first investment vehicle. You can start looking for partners on real estate or businesses, or even just, wow, I've got some money in a CD at the bank, because you started very small. Just a little, the spare change idea, I think, is a good. And mostly, I think, again, it comes back to mindset. Like, find out why it would be valuable to you to have an additional 5,000 at the end of the year. What is that 5,000 going to do for you? Does it buy crypto or another investment that creates some momentum, that in a year from now, if you keep doing that, you'd be able to buy a home or another, something that grows. I think money is more like a tree, and you're planting little seeds and helping things to grow, and then, amazingly, just from tiny beginning, you get a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Unlock your best life with Soul app. Book a holistic wellness experience with a trained guide and start changing your life today with compassion practices, inner healing, food and diet, and so much more. Tap into a healthier and happier life with the number one purposeful living app in the US, the Soul app. Link in the description of the podcast.
That has that generosity and that impact. And so to me, I'm like, wow, I really like pizza, but maybe I could go without this one time, and use that toward, I want to donate to help someone, or I want to do, anytime that you can even give a little bit before you have arrived where you want to be financially, that generosity will come back. Everything we give out into the world comes back hundredfold to us. So um, I think that's where I'd start, is just, why am I doing it? Why am I creating this space in my life to not use every last, my grandpa called it, that same grandpa, living on the top half of your gas tank, making sure that you're never right down at your last dollars and getting nervous, because that it
Very
messes
wise. Yes. That's
messes with
fantastic.
I think he was just trying to help us be like, if we're not at our last and stressed about things, then our mindset's better, and we can, we just
That's so
know,
true.
what if you had an emergency, but all year long you'd been saving up a little bit, and then you have something that you didn't plan on, and it's okay, and you don't have to panic because you already had set some things in place without too much sacrifice on your lifestyle and what you wanted to do.
Yes, it's so true. The responsibility, it just takes that little attention every day, that
Yeah.
awareness. Again, it's like that it's important to be responsible, and especially when children are growing up, we have to have more lessons to help teach kids, because that's like the greatest value when they're growing up, especially if the world is surrounded by money. It's like
Yes.
the biggest way of exchange. So it's totally crucial for kids and students.
Kids learned the cash flow game with Robert Kiyosaki. Those are, I think, sometimes you can play games and help people learn as
Mm-hmm.
they're growing, without
Yes.
having to make it boring and yucky and, oh my word, what are we talking about? Like, it can be just a fun conversation that doesn't have to be attacking or pointing fingers, and it's actually
Yes.
just like, I'm trying to learn something I didn't know. um, yeah, the same way you would if you were, I want to learn about flowers, or I want to learn a new skill, or some of the side hustles that you mentioned, things that we're interested in. Money's just another thing to be interested in and learn about, so that you can use it to create what you want out of it, to be in charge of it instead of having it be in charge of you, kind of.
Yes, exactly. That's so true. What a beautiful conversation, Anne. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your journey and your work with money, finances, and where can people connect with you and see your program and your social media content?
We are at lifegiverlegacy.com, or Anne at lifegiverlegacy.com, to ask questions. I love having an opportunity to share about that. The two phone calls that really impacted us were learning how to pay that house off in 5 to 7 years. Didn't change our lifestyle at all. Still did everything we did, because then I had access to keeping my gas tank half full, and we could purchase other investments that would bring in more income, just in case we ever got laid off again. And so now, um, it was worth it. It was scary when we were starting out, and all of a sudden the plan totally changed, the way it will for some of the people that listen. But it's worth it. Like, don't give up. Keep trying. Keep asking that. How can I do it? For anything, spiritually, your money, your time, everything. I think how can I is way more powerful than, no, I can't. I can't. It's not going to work. So,
Yes, totally. It's like glass half full mentality, that optimistic realist perspective.
yeah,
It's beautiful.
yeah, in a way. Yeah, it all started with the word "can't" in the dictionary. Grandpa
Yes.
was awesome.
Yes.
I've sure appreciated being able to come talk with you for a few minutes. So.